an amazing instrument. It has developed into an incredible voice in today's music. So many types of guitars, so many styles of playing, all sorts of gear. How does one make their voice be heard as a guitarist? My name is Jeff Floro, and welcome to All About Guitar, where we talk tone, we talk technique, we talk gear. Where we discover how we can become better musicians in a world of constantly changing technologies. Where we take a good look at everything guitar, and sometimes not exactly guitar, but just as important, so we can be more successful as a musician in today's music scene. So sit back and relax, and let's explore all about guitar. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to All About Guitar. We have a great show for you tonight. My guest has actually been on and off the show as just coming and hanging with us for many times, but I finally got him on the show to just do a dedicated show about him. My guest is Jeffery Marshall, and he's an incredible player, great guitar player, and known him for a couple of years, or actually more than that, 4 or 5 years. And he's just amazing, and he's got he's playing in a couple of bands. He's playing with Bleeding Harps. Harp. And sorry. No, that's good. And Lao Tizer Band. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the other things we do. And one of the things I do want to talk about, because I was really excited when I heard that he went on tour with Alan Parsons, the Alan Parsons Project, for their iRobot 40th anniversary tour, if I'm correct. So anyway, let me get all the mics on here. Welcome. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Anyway, give us a little background. I never really went into your background, where your influences and your... Because I know you teach at Musicians Institute.
I do, yeah. I've been there for many moons now, like 12 years, I think. But yeah, I grew up kind of in the middle of nowhere. My dad played guitar. Mm-hmm. Most of the people in my family played some kind of music or sang, and kind of had an exceptional talent. Like if you hear some of my dad's sisters sing, it's just like ridiculous, So I was always around music. And, I never really thought about pursuing it that much. I just kind of started picking up my dad's guitar around the house and stuff like that. And eventually, he would sit down and show me some boogie-woogie riffs, that kind of stuff, And, I just kind of took off from there. And then I heard, guys like Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and Jimmy Page, and then it was just a downward spiral ever since.
So... Other early influences, what were...
Well, besides my dad, the funny thing is, like I said, I grew up in a small town. One day I was out shoveling snow, because it was in Upper Michigan, of course, with my dad out shoveling
the
UP, yeah. And this guy named John Evans came walking by our driveway, and he knew my dad, because my dad was pretty well known in our little area. And he said, "Hey, you're Dave Marshall, aren't you?" He said, "I like to play guitar, and maybe we could get together." And it turned out that guy was fantastic. So I used to go down in the basement. We had the typical wood paneling rec room in the basement with the Christmas lights on year round. We had that for real. For real. We really
wood
did
paneling
have
upstairs and downstairs.
We really had that. And, I used to go down there and bring my boombox, and I would just record them jamming. And then I would go and try to learn some of the stuff this guy did.
Do you still have those tapes?
Maybe in a box somewhere. Yeah, so cool. Yeah. And then, so that guy really inspired me. And I had already been playing a few years. And you got to remember, this is, years ago, long before internet and stuff like that. But I was watching TV, and we had 3 channels. We had ABC, NBC, and PBS, right? The last resort was PBS always. But you always checked it just in case there was something cool on. And one night I was fanning through the channels. I was like, okay, nothing on. Let's check PBS. And I turn it on, and there was this guy playing the most insane guitar I'd ever heard. I'd never heard of him before. I was probably in 9th grade, maybe. And it was Austin City Limits, Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I went and got a boombox. It turned out that the college that was broadcasting it, when they broadcast some musical event, they would also put it on their radio station. So I ran into my room, grabbed my boombox, and I recorded it. So my first early recordings listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan was just a live Austin City Limits. I never heard any of his records or anything like that till later on. But yeah, that blew my face off for sure. I was like another planet there, you know what I mean? So, I had those influences early on, and then of course, bands like Zeppelin and Rush, Jimi Hendrix, Grand Funk Railroad, all the kind of the 70s guitar-y kind of stuff I was really into, AC/DC, all that typical rock stuff I was into. And, we had, my parents had every record from 1955 up until 1970. So I, of course, was into the Beatles. I listened to my parents' Beatles records, and my dad had some, Bob Dylan and stuff like that. So I listened to all that stuff, and I really absorbed it. I loved it. Rolling Stones. You know what I mean? I mean, there really wasn't much to do up where I grew up. Trust me, it was like 8 months out of the year there was snow on the ground. So just to try to avoid cabin fever, I would just stay in my room and listen to music. And sometimes I would even pretend I was playing before I even played. I would pretend I was playing along to the records. So I've always been just in love with music.
When did guys like Malmsteen and Alex Massey kind of come into the consciousness?
Oh wow, well that's an interesting name. Yeah. Well, when after I graduated high school, I was in the service for a few years, and it was actually really fun because I had a band. I was stationed over in Germany, and I met my good friend Billy Bird, who I moved out here with. He was a drummer. He's a great guy. He's probably listening. Hi, Billy. And that was when I first heard Yngwie Malmsteen, and I just thought it was studio tricks, to be honest with you. I was like, who can really play the guitar like that? It's impossible. But
you knew enough to be skeptical. That's great.
Yeah. I was like, nah, they're doing something in the studio. Well, that's what I thought about Van Halen when I first heard Van Halen too. I was like, come on, that's not possible. That's not physically possible to do that. Of course, you don't. Growing up back then, you couldn't just log onto YouTube and have someone show you how to do it. You know what I mean? You had to dig to find out ways of learning how to play techniques, songs, or whatever. And I just didn't have that information, so I just used my ear and just tried to imitate it the best I could. But guys like Malmsteen were just, at that point, were just out of my reach. I didn't have the technical abilities to even start on that stuff at first, you know what I mean? So I admired him, but I really, I was still trying to play Joe Perry licks and stuff like that, so.
Well, did you ever study keyboards?
No.
Okay, because Malmsteen and those guys, that's a lot of those keyboard based.
And European players just seem to carry that. They're surrounded by classical music. Here it was more of a rock blues thing, but Blackmore, Malmsteen, Massey, all those guys have a very strong. They're surrounded by classical music and great classical musicians in a way that is not the same here in the United States.
Oh yeah, of course. I never listened to classical.
In Germany,
music.
you probably got to see a lot of or hear an interesting bands.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like when you read a magazine, it would say, "Oh, he uses a lot of harmonic minor scale." And I'm like, "What is that?" You know what I mean? I don't even know what that is. Harmonic. So yeah, that stuff just felt at the time a little bit out of my league, and I wasn't super into it anyway. I think Malmsteen's amazing. There's a lot of knockoffs that I'm not crazy about that came out around the same time. But I think Malmsteen himself he's got the soul and the fire and all that stuff. It's real. It's really him. It's not him trying to imitate somebody. It's just really him.
He does have a bluesy foundation.
And he can play some blues, of course, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think he's great. But I wouldn't say he's been a huge influence on me. But it was guys like that and Steve Vai and those guys. This is the formative years for me was the 80s. 70s and the 80s is when I was really, learning how to really play. You know what I mean? Like learning how to get around on the guitar. So, did
you ever study, or did you it's self-taught?
Well, I was self-taught up until I went to MI in 1988. I went there.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you were following your dad's footsteps and you do have some of the finger-picking chops, who were the guys then? Would have been like Doc Watson or?
No, actually, the guy that I was really turned on to for the fingerstyle stuff was a guy named Leo Kottke.
Yes.
Who played like a 12-string. I don't know if you ever tried to play 12-string fingerstyle. First of all, I can't even play 12-string at all. It doesn't even work for me, But
like
the
Vaseline machine gun, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he would, he's playing all these like complicated 12-string finger style things, and it just, I couldn't do it, but it inspired me to, do that, And I started out with finger picks. I started out with a thumb pick, kind of like a banjo player would. I actually started.
People can see it in the audience. His finger, he's got the, the fingernails on the third and fourth.
Yeah, so after I kind of got bit by the rock bug, I started picking up more of the pick and learning that way. But these always kind of just fell into place. You know what I mean? They were always kind of in the background. And I could still do all those little, like, all that kind of stuff that I was doing with my finger style. I was like, oh, cool. I
Such an important foundation. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm lucky, I guess, because I know I do have students that ask me about that, and I can see them struggling to do that. And to me, it's really natural, so I don't even think about it. And then, of course, one of the good things about MI is that not only, you get to teach and see all kinds of great students and everything, but you get to steal from other teachers. And there's a lot of great players there. And I think it was a guy named Jamie Finley. He was like I don't think he's there anymore, but he's a fingerstyle god, and he is real meticulous about his nails. And he was telling me, this is before I started getting these done. He's like, I just go to a salon, and have them do select nails that I need. So I started doing that, and it took me a few tries to get them to kind of shape it the way I wanted to. But now that's what I do every couple of weeks. I just go to the.
Do they wear out that much, or?
Yeah, they grow out. They kind of grow out, and you got to keep filing them and stuff like that, and then eventually they'll break. So they last about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, yeah.
But it's like $5, to go get it.
Yeah, and also too, you're playing on an electric, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
Bronze wound.
Yeah, if I
kills your nails.
Yeah, that'd be a different story for sure. Yeah, but that technique just translated from just when I was a kid, when I was first learning, and I never really thought about it. I just started doing it, out of necessity. So
one of the things that he does that's really cool is when he plays, he'll bend 2 notes like almost to unison, but he pulls it out and he gets like this ring. You can show
like
us. So he gets like a ring modulator type of effect.
Yeah.
No, get some more gain. You'll hear the overtones.
Yeah. It's like kind of like a. Yeah, it's kind of coming from that country sound a little bit. You know what I mean?
But when he mixes the two, it actually goes to another note.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like we were talking on one of the tunes there. I did that. If you do that with one of those octave fuzz pedals, it just goes haywire on you. Like you never know what's going to happen, right? Sometimes, most times it's cool, but sometimes it's not. But usually, if you kind of do something like that, where you hit 2 notes at the same time and kind of bend them out of tune a little bit, the thing just goes crazy. And I love that because you get this unexpected like craziness,
what just happened?
Madness, for a little bit. Yes. How do I recover from that?
Well, let me play a clip. I'm going to play "Live to Ride," and what I noticed on here is how you answer the vocals, which is an art in itself. And I've talked to other guests on the show about that because like the singer will sing and then you do something, and it
actually is me singing on that tune.
It is you.
It's the only tune I sing lead vocal on.
A good pick, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well played.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's interesting how he does that and how he answers, because the answer is so tasty, and then it goes into the lead. So let me play this clip, and this is from the Bleeding Harp album, Truth, and I'm gonna flash the album so everybody can see it, and let me find it here. Here it is. Okay, here's Live to Ride. Take a listen, and then we'll talk a little more about what you're doing.
Live to ride. I ride to live. I live to ride. I ride to live.
Now, that's a great kind of a Hendrixy feel, but he took it in a different direction. But it's just really tasty what you're doing behind your,
Thanks,
voice.
Man. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that clip. What were you using on that?
Well, actually, I recorded that a couple of years ago. That's not a new track, actually. I was using a Telecaster, which I have at home. That's all Telecaster front pickup. Yeah, it's not a Strat. And I was using a BB preamp as my gain. And I was using a PV Classic 50 head that I have in my garage.
Oh, very cool.
Just experimenting. And I had a speaker cabinet in my closet and just doing all that, just moving mics around and just getting certain sounds. And I was really kind of looking for that kind of Robin Trowery little bit thing going on, Hendrix thing, And I think I found it pretty well, even though it's not like some vintage Marshall or something like that. If you've never tried that BB preamp pedal, it's awesome.
Yeah. Those classic, those amps do have that kind of Marshall tone. That's Steve Pfister's. He uses those. He loves those amps.
I'll tell you, I've used that amp in the '90s. I used it for years as my main amp, and I have some videos that I've watched. I'm going, wow, I was actually getting a killer tone out of that thing.
Yeah.
A few pedals here and there, you know what I mean? But yeah.
I'm going to put in my request now for you to write the book called The Art of the Front Pickup. The Art of the Neck Pickup. Because it kind of seems to have come back in vogue. It's like in the 80s was a lot of synth pop and very clean stuff. And then when Guns N' Roses came and Sunset Strip came, it was very Les Paul and humbucker. And grunge, you could kind of go either way, but mostly it was a front pickup or middle pickup thing.
Right.
And it seems like as YouTube has come around and a lot of younger players have looked backwards, they've really keyed in on the front pickup, on rhythm playing, on the Hendrix approach, on the Stevie Ray approach. So it's interesting because now I'm seeing a lot of younger people that really know and understand that tone, but you started it very early on and always got a great sound.
Yeah, ultimately that came from Stevie Ray. I mean, that, like I said, that first concert that I recorded to him, not only was the playing amazing, it was just a sound that was like, it was just godlike, and it still is. It's still, I just watched
Hendrix
concert.
too used that pickup a lot.
Yeah,
a lot more than people realize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know the bend you're talking about is one of these kind of like that kind of thing, right? That's the. And then if vibrato is like the most important thing on earth, right? So, if you really listen to like Hendrix vibrato, like when he does this kind of wide vibrato and with a certain tempo to it, it's quintessential Hendrix. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm kind of trying to conjure a little bit of that the best I can.
Oh man, to any young people listening, soak it up and write it, because not as a teacher, but there are so many notated ways to attack a note. There was some culture I remember reading. There's a lot of different vibratos that you can use, and all of them are different expressive. Santana does not sound like B.B. King. B.B. King doesn't sound like Hendrix. Hendrix doesn't sound like Stevie Ray.
It's your fingerprint.
It's an absolute fingerprint, and when you're really good, as Jeff is, you can vary it a little bit to get different effects, and that's really where the personality of playing comes in, apart from bending in tune, which is the first thing we tell people, bend in tune.
Well, besides doing that wiggle, which actually Clapton does that too, and you do a really tasty bend up and then you go up above.
Here's that lick if I can remember it. That's the lick, I think. Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I've just, I've always been turned on by vibrato and bending like mad. One of my favorite guitar solos, I play this for my students all the time. They probably look at me like I'm crazy or something. But it's called Train Kept A-Rollin'. That's it. It's on Aerosmith Get Your Wings, I think. It's the opening track. And at the time, I thought it was Joe Perry, but I think it's Steve Hunter.
It's Hunter. It's Steve Hunter.
All this time, I'm thinking Joe Perry's God, and he is, don't get me wrong. But, 40 years later, I think maybe it was JP or somebody told me, oh, no, that's Steve Hunter. I'm like, that just crushed my whole youth.
Well, show us the lick.
Which one?
The one you show your students.
I'd have to listen to that solo again, but that was one of those. Yeah, it's like. that, you know. Had that quintessential triplet thing, you know, that Jimmy Page does all the time and stuff like that. Had to have that in there. But it's just the kind of the vibe that, you know, I can't even do it. It's just so cool. If you hear it, it's just one of those solos. Like my record player was worn out listening to that.
If everybody out there, if you like Steve Hunter, the definitive lead that he wrote was on Lou Reed's Rock and Roll Animal.
Oh, okay.
That whole opening to Sweet Jane is just a classic. I think
and not only did he turn me on to that, Jeff himself, when I was probably in 7th or 8th grade, but from Steve Hunter himself, he said, I've listened to a lot of bands cover it and nobody's gotten it right. So if you're a young band out there, want to give that a try, record it and send it to Steve and he'll tell you whether you get it right because no one has yet.
Yes, but it's all that. Those bends and everything.
Yeah,
it's just 100% taste.
The bends, and they're, you know, harmonically, of course, now I've been studying for years and I'm, you know all kinds of weird stuff, but that still turns me on. It's simple, you know what I mean? The bends and the notes are right in the right place.
Tasty.
The tone, you just can't beat that. You know what I mean? You can't
Absolutely.
Beat. Yeah.
Well, let me play another clip.
Okay.
And this is kind of cool. This reminded me some stuff from very 70s where they were a lot of double leads. And this is called Something You Never Had. And there's double leads in the fills around the vocals again, and then there's a short lead on here. But it's really cool because in the 70s we would do that a lot. We would, because we didn't have like orchestra in session, so we would do a lot of double leads to kind of flesh it out. But what he does is just really tasty. Now, did you just do those yourself?
No, that's me and Coleman.
You did them together.
I went over to Jeff's house one day and we were like, let's write something for this, and I think that was probably we recorded it that day.
By the way, for those people listening at home, Bleeding Harp consists of...
Well, of course, myself, Paul Vallis, who's
tremendous
the
singer and
harmonica
harmonic player.
Yes.
Jeff Coleman,
Great
Kevin
guitar
Chown,
Lao.
Lao Tizer on organ. Lao's been playing a lot of B3 lately. Sounds amazing. And lately, we've been using Andy Sinisi on drums.
Great drummer.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's ridiculous. And, you know, the thing is about Bleeding Harp is we kind of think of it as not just this band. We have a core thing, but it's kind of more of a community. Like JP's played with us before. 'Cause everybody in the band tours with other people and stuff like that. So, you know, we kind of keep it going, and we just do like local gigs and stuff like that just to kind of keep it out and keep it fresh. And if somebody's not around, I'll call JP or I'll call a different drummer or something like that. And, you know, it'll be a little bit different, but in a good way, because everybody's really talented. You know?
Yeah, what's cool about it, you guys are playing all these people, when you come back together, you bring all of this in there, and it makes the next performance even more unique and magical.
It's awesome.
So, no, and then also, too, Coleman, was he playing the wah on that last clip? There's a wah in the background.
Yes. Yeah, on his rhythm track, he's playing wah. So I think if you listen to the whole CD, Coleman's on the left, and I'm on the right. And then and most of the times the solos are too. So you'll know it's Jeff because he's on that side and I'm on this side. I tried to, you know, I mixed a lot of it, and Rick Fiorabracci mixed some of it and stuff. But I tried to make it organic like that, like almost like if you were coming to see us, this is what it's going to sound like. And even most of the time when someone's taking a solo, there's not another rhythm track there. It's like his rhythm drops out and now he's playing a solo. With a few exceptions. I think maybe there's the Live to Ride, I wanted to make it pretty beefy, so I kind of added in another layer of guitar there. But for the most of it, if you really listen to it, the guitar, if someone takes a solo, the rhythm drops out. It's just like if you were hearing this live, you know what I mean? That was kind of the goal of it, is to keep it organic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it sounded great. I love the wah-wah work, too. That's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's Something You Never Had.
I stayed as calm as any man can be, while you got wild with every man but me. My friends all ask me why I don't get mad. Hey, yeah, I say you can't really lose something you never had. Don't be surprised that I don't look too sad. I can't really lose. I can't really lose something you never had. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You can't really lose. You can't really lose. You can't really lose.
Now that last lead was
That's Jeff.
yeah,
Or the
interesting.
The other Jeff. Yeah.
and he's using I think he's using a chorus on there, right?
I don't know.
It gets like a weird,
He's got.
and it's in and out. It goes away.
It's yeah. He's got a really cool studio in his house where he's got like this other room with like all like 3 different 412 cabinets from different years and everything, and all kinds of microphones. So yeah, he always gets just like a crushing tone, So he actually sent me 2 different solos, and he said just pick the one you like the best. They both were great, So the other one was a little cleaner and it was maybe a little jazzier, and I was like, let's keep it a little more rockin', But all the harmony stuff in there.
That was just cool.
And it's funny you mentioned that because we were totally like, let's do the Eagles,
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
the Eagles here.
I'm hearing like Imaginary Lover.
Yeah.
That's what I heard toward the end.
Yeah, there's that's where we were drawing that from. It's like, and if you listen to it, for the most part, when those harmony guitars are going on, there's no other guitars. It's like I said, we're trying to make it so it's like that's what you're going to see when you come see us or whatever.
I know this is all about guitar, but Lao killed on that song too.
Yeah, I love Lau's solo at the end of that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you're hearing Eagles, but I'm hearing Charlie Daniels, Outlaws. I mean, there's a bunch
true.
of
Yeah, that's
all
true.
of those guys were doing those. But it's kind of cool where you take it, you harmonically go, you stretch a little more, like
Right.
you do these leaps, like a ninth
Well,
leap.
we're playing through chord changes that are jazzy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like and then. So all the harmony lines are kind of based around those chord changes. So yeah,
Yeah.
you do hear just.
And then
smacks
just
them.
before the lead came in, you're doing these low double parts, which are really cool. You don't.
Yeah,
that was
the ones
very
like-
Eagle-ish. You did the trills, but then you were doing like legato notes down. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Again, just going around the chords. And there is one other overdub guitar in there, kind of as a lead that I'm doing. So yeah, it's definitely
Now,
trying to keep it interesting.
What did you use on that one? On those double leads, did you use a different setup or?
Yeah, everything is with a different setup. Every song is a different setup for this record, for sure. I want to say that I did it over at Jeff's place, so we just mic'd up some of his stuff because we basically wrote it and said, okay, let's lay it down, and that's how it ended up.
So, which guitar did you use?
I'm trying to think.
Was that the Tele or a Strat?
I think.
And were you using?
No, that was a Strat.
That
I
was
have
a
a
Strat.
green Strat that has a low output humbucker on it. It gets a real kind of nice hollow-y kind
But
of
were you
sound
using
to
the
it.
humbucker or were you using
No,
the neck pickup?
On the harmony parts, I was doing this. That setting there, that kind of in between.
Yeah,
that's
he has
where
the out of the between the first and the
Right.
middle pickup, the bridge, and
And then on the fills, I was using a humbucker on the bridge. You know what I mean? That's where you. Hear
oh
that.
really?
Yeah. So like you hear that like that little lick there is all. That's a humbucker actually. It's a low output like EMG humbucker I got from a friend of mine. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it sounds great.
Great tone.
And
Great tone.
Lawler's doing the low winding Imperials.
Yeah,
as well.
it's
So there's
actually really similar.
A
to
low
that.
output thing that's happening.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because
really
it's
expressive.
just, and it matches up. Like I'm obviously, in this is more traditional, but most of my Strats have humbuckers in them. You know what I mean? I'm scared of this pickup right here. Actually, this is the only Strat that I've owned where I like that pickup. It's just got that real quacky, but it's not so top endy. Usually I have to roll the treble way down on that, and this one I don't do anything.
That's awesome.
What I mean? Yeah,
It's got a great sound. And what pickups are those?
These are David Allen pickups.
Mm-hmm.
And the story behind this guitar is, well, when I first started working with Iconic here, that a buddy of mine, Prashant Aswani, I don't know if you know him or not. He's a great guitar player and very prolific guy and really cool cat. Anyway, he called me up one day and he said, hey, I got a friend that needs some guitar videos. And he was endorsed by somebody else. And I can't do it. Would you be willing to just come over and do some videos for me? I said, yeah, sure, of course. So I go over there, and it was the guy from Iconic. And he had this guitar there, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And so, I did some demos and stuff, and he had, all of his guitars were great. But this one right here just spoke to me, And so as I was leaving the room, I had to cut out. I just grabbed the guitar, and I was like, okay, I'll see you guys later. And he was like, you can take it. We'll work something out. So, yeah, I love this guitar. It's just like the best, old school Strat that I've certainly ever owned.
It sounds like one of the 60s.
Yeah. I just wanted the people to be able to see this other one because they're both iconics.
Yeah, that one I just had built. Now, of course, this guitar is awesome, but it's not like it can't quite do all the things I would need it to do for every
Is that a B-style neck? Is that a 9-inch radius, or is that a flatter neck?
Well, this is flatter. It's compound radius.
Okay.
He's got some really cool things. He's got a compound radius that's actually 7.25 to 9.5.
Okay, because it looks like near the nut, it looks like it's pretty curved.
It's a little rounder here.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is I didn't like it because it would fret out on me. When I would
that's
bend
the
notes.
problem with it.
So he replaced it, and I swear to God, you cannot tell the difference the way it feels. It feels like the same neck, except for now this is, I think, 9 to 12. It's a little flatter.
Yeah.
So it's still round here.
So it's like a B style in the front, and then it goes down to
Right.
the C.
And another thing is this is an asymmetrical neck, which is what Stevie Ray used to use. And when I first picked it up, I said, first thing I said to him, I said, is this asymmetrical neck? He's like, you're the first guy that's ever noticed that. He's like, yeah. I'm like,
Which means the bump is
it's
higher.
a little chunkier on the top.
Yeah,
here.
off the top.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of chunky anyway, but I don't know. It just feels.
That's
great.
a critical spot. One of the Buzzy Featon mentioned that on his when he makes the neck. That can make or break the guitar. That angle of the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel it if I told you. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't probably notice it. But when you pick it up, you go, oh yeah, you're right. It does have a little bit of variation there. But yeah, I really love it. It's not, it's definitely great for blues and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. When I first got with them, he was asking me if I was going to take it on the Parsons tour, and I was like, I don't think I can get the sounds out of it I need for that tour because they've got some pretty rockin' stuff. Not that this guitar doesn't rock, but I definitely felt like I needed a humbucker to do everything for that gig, so I took a different guitar. And then he was like, okay, well, let's build you one then. And then that's where this came from.
So did you use that one on the Parsons?
No, I didn't have it then. This has been built afterwards. I used another Strat that actually looks just like it. I built this one based off of that one.
Well, let's talk real quick, because I want to get into the amp a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Parsons. How was that gig? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, of course it's epic classic music, and it's a little surreal to be actually playing it like, well, I'm actually playing Eye in the Sky right now. It's a little surreal. We've all heard that song a billion times. It's a great tune. Aside from the music, of course, everything was just great. Alan's great. He's a super classy guy. His wife, Lisa, they take care of everything. It's fantastic. The guys are great.
How strict was he in terms of getting... Did you have to emulate the album pretty exact? Or?
No, actually, I went up to his house a couple weeks before we actually went, and I didn't quite have all the songs down just yet. I was still kind of chipping away at them. Or I had the songs down, but I didn't have all the solos down. And some of those solos are classic. Like, what's that? I can't remember it. The Wouldn't Want to Be Like You and stuff like that. And so I was playing it for him, and I go, I don't quite have it perfect yet, but I'll have it by the time. He's like, oh, just do your thing. It's cool. I was like, oh, wow. He's actually not too, as long as it feels good and it matches the mood of the tune, he's actually pretty loose on it. So, like on Eye in the Sky, that's another classic solo that you can almost sing if you've heard the song enough. You know what I mean? So I wanted to learn that one, at least for the most part, pretty dead on. And then that tune stretches. So after I play the written solo, then it kind of just stretches into. And I never quite nailed it. I never felt like I really nailed it. There's little variations that I do that I put in there every now and then. And I remember the last show that we played, and on that song, we're standing face to face. We're in the front of the stage. It's the last song I played before the encore and everything. And I'm playing. I'm just looking right at him playing it, and he leans over and he said, "Almost perfect." So I got an almost perfect from Alan Parsons. I'll take it.
That's awesome.
What was the toughest one? Was that the toughest one to do?
No.
Were there any ones that caused you problems or that you thought were...
Well, there was one tune of his called Prime Time, which I'm sure
Yes.
you're familiar with. I actually sang it. And so when it goes into the chorus, and it's there was gonna be my turn tonight. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
And I can hit it about 80% of the time, but I didn't want to do 80% in Alan Parsons. So we gave it to Todd, who would normally sings it anyway. And so he would just take that line. But there's a lot of, that song that starts off, it goes like... It's all that melody in there and everything. And then it just comes right in on the vocals, and you're changing patches. I'm trying to change patches, and I'm trying to play that thing note for note. You know what I mean? So there's a little tap dancing, and then I got to sing with some kind of emotion. So that tune was probably the most challenging tune for me personally, because I had to sing it and play it all that.
Yeah,
all
well,
those
he
parts.
layers so many different guitars and different tones, so... Now, you were using the Kemper, so you had to switch around a lot.
Yeah, actually, that was, considering all the different sounds that you have to get, it's actually a really good option for something like that, because it's all pre-programmed. I got my clean sounds and my lead sounds, and I don't have to do a ton of tap dancing, a little bit here and there.
Well, when he was working with you on the songs, did he tell you what they were using and how they got the tone so that you could kind of... He just said, go for it.
No. That was the thing. He's actually really laid back. I mean, I was up at his house, and he said, we went over the tunes, and he's like, oh, hey, I'm building a new studio. So we took a walk down there, and he showed me his studio, and then we had lunch, and he's super laid back, I mean, there was a couple times when, of course he's Alan Parsons, so he's got Alan Parsons ears, right? And there was one song I was playing a C minor 7th chord on. And, we can hear everything in your ears, all in your monitors. And we're at sound check, and he was like, what chord is that you're playing? And I said, C minor 7. I think it's right. He's like, just play C minor. Like, which is like one note different, right? Like, he's like, yeah. I go, okay. Wow, he's listening.
Yeah.
He's listening. So, and he's got those
7.
ears. Yeah, he's got those ears.
But other than that, you had a lot of freedom to do. what you wanted.
Yeah. Like in prime time, I got as long as I wanted the solo, basically. Like at the end of it was just and I was trading with the keyboard player Tom Brooks, who's awesome, and yeah, it was just basically, that was kind of my tune to shine. But he never said you have to play this like this or like that or whatever. I just kind of, just out of respect for the music, and plus it was an anniversary tour, I wanted to play the stuff pretty close with a little bit of my own flair. You know what I mean? I don't want to completely copy it, but...
So when they did, and you were doing, it was the 40th anniversary for iRobot, right?
Right.
So when they did they do Day After Day?
Yeah.
So
we did the whole record down.
Who did the pedal steel parts?
I did it on a slide. With a slide guitar.
Cool.
I put like a lot of delay on, and then I would just do swells. I did all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because it's very interesting what he had the guy do, because it's very non-standard pedal steel stuff that he was doing in there.
Right.
But
More
you
textures.
posted a video while you were on tour. I remember you shared one on your page and you were doing games people play. That was cool.
That's a really fun song to play.
For the record, because he's probably not going to say it himself, Jeffrey's a fantastic slide player. Really is a great slide player. In addition to the other stuff he does, he's absorbed so many different guitar players and styles. And I have no doubt you did a fantastic job.
Well, something like that was really the only tune I played slide on, though. I think that had any.
I wanted to get it in since you mentioned
it. But the
it.
type of slide playing, it's totally.
It's different. It's not like
it's
Dwayne.
not, it's not
Greg
blues
Allman
at all. He's doing these little high parts, little melodic things that are going on.
And then there was some even all the little effecty stuff that's on that record in between songs. We did that stuff too, And so some of it would be just me just doing weird sounds and echoes, like whaley sounds, like kind of stuff, And while that's going on, you can just see this light show going bananas around you. You're just kind of going, wow, this is cool. It was fun.
That Games People Play was a great live clip of you playing.
Well, the thing is I brought a little camera with me and I recorded every show, and some of them came out better than others, of course, but I remember watching the first show for the first time. I was like, "Oh my God, that's what's going on stage!" Because it's an unbelievable light show going on behind you, and I'm just trying to get through the tunes and do a good job. I'm kind of not paying much attention to that. But then when I saw the footage back, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like there's screens going on, and there's all kinds of graphics and super cool show. It was just really great to be a part of it. I really had a good time.
No, he's great. I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan. But anyway, we're almost out of time. But I want to do is play a clip from the other band that you play for.
Oh, from Lao's
Lao
band.
Tizer. And I'm going to play. These are short clips. I'm going to play both of them because they feature some interesting things. First one I'm going to play is "Pride in the Name of Love."
Cool.
And this is from Songs from the Swing House.
Yeah.
That album. And this one you're sharing a lead solo with, if I'm pronouncing this right, Chieli Minucci.
Chieli
Minucci.
Yeah, excellent guitar player.
And this album was recorded live in the studio. So
yeah, this is
everything you're hearing
live. These
one
takes
take,
are live.
Just boom.
All right, take a
watch
listen.
the video. This is what you get right
Take
here.
a listen. My mistake. I missed and misclicked. They're right next to each other. So hold on a second. That was from that clip of that lead. That's Truth from the Bleeding Harp album. But check this out. Okay, here it is. This is the Pride, Name, and Love. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to go ahead real quick and play this other clip, "Ramble On," which is the Led Zeppelin song, but you're trading off leads with violinist Karen Briggs. So I'm going to play that real quick and then we'll talk about what you were using and stuff. So what were you using on that first clip?
Well, that whole session I used a Kemper on it.
That's the Kemper.
The Kemper, yeah.
And which guitar?
A Les Paul.
Oh,
A Les
wow.
Paul Classic, yeah. Yeah, it was, it was like 9 people in the studio, and there were, it's a video too. It's a DVD, CD package, so you can watch us performing the song live. So it just made sense to not have loud amps in the room, just to keep everything under control. So I don't know if Chieli, I don't think he's using an amp in it either. I think he's using some kind of a modeler thing. You know what I mean?
Great tone.
But yeah, it's I mean, that stuff is just crazy nowadays.
Both of you guys are, it works. I mean, you guys are perfectly matched there. It's real aggressive, both parts, and it works really good.
Yeah.
But I heard in the earlier it's not in the clip that I played on Ramble On. There sounded like there was a section. Was that strings or was that keys?
There's a string section there. Yeah.
There is a string section live. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah. 3 violins and a cello, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Wow, that's pretty full. It sounds really.
I'm telling you, it was an epic project. They had, Carrie Frank was on B3. Of course, Lao was on piano and Rhodes and synthesizer thing, whatever you call it. Chieli was there,
Amazing
playing
musicians.
acoustic. Yeah, Rick Farabracci,
Gene
Coy,
Coy, drums.
Munyango
Gene
Jackson.
Coy.
It was
Munyango,
and we're at Conway
And Karen.
Studios. It was just and Karen. Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard Karen Brinks, but
She's crazy great.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, she's killer.
And Tita sings her butt off.
Yeah,
Tita sings
yeah.
so
You guys played the
wonderfully.
baked potato sometimes, right?
yeah, we did our CD release party there.
I was
a couple
there.
months ago.
I
Yeah,
think.
it was
Was I there?
great. I
No,
think so.
I was there at something last
You're
year.
there
I
in
think.
spirit.
You've been to so many CD parties.
Oh,
I'm
no.
amazed you even remember.
Well,
what you-
I produce a lot of CD release
Yeah,
parties.
no,
so.
I know you are the person for that.
Duly noted.
But anyway, I don't have the other album from Lao, but this is Bleeding Harp. Definitely get this album. It's really good. There's great guitar work all through it. It's really guitar candy, ear candy for you. I mean, and just tasty stuff, really tasty.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want to go bananas and make it some crazy fusion record, and we didn't want to go make it a chops fest. We wanted to make it tasty and appropriate, but still ballsy and rockin'. You know what I mean? And I just should add that I had recently met Doug Pinnick from King's X a couple of years ago. We have some mutual friends, and became friends with him. And hey, you want to do a song? Sure, let's figure out something to do. And so just the stars aligned, and we went in the studio and cut a cover of Whipping Post, which is on the record with Doug.
Yes.
And it's live in the studio again.
Murderous. I just heard it on the way over. It was
I mean,
so awesome.
Doug Pinnick is
And
one
Doug
of my
is-
favorite
he
voices of all time.
Yeah, God.
It's just
Wow.
ridiculous.
And a nice man.
And he's going to be out
nice.
Thursday.
Oh.
He's going to come out and sit in with us, and he's going to do.
So let's talk about that real quick. First of all, www.jeffreymarshallmusic.com.
Spell it.
Jefffery.
Yes.
And so where are you playing? Where can people
We're playing
see?
at Ireland's 32.
That's which band?
That's Bleeding Harp.
That's a regular gig.
It's a
pretty
regular
much.
gig. We play there every month. We've been doing it for years.
Good food,
Trust
good
that's
burgers.
always there.
It's good pub grub
hang.
and good beer
Low
and
stress.
everything. And we've been doing that gig for years. And like I said, we have other players that come in and stuff. But of course, I asked Doug if he could come out, since how it was a CD release, and he's going to do that. And as fate would have it, he just released a Hendrix tribute, so we're going to do a couple of Hendrix tunes with him on vocals
Very,
too.
very, very cool.
Yeah, and I invited a few other friends out. I don't want to mention too much because I don't know if they're for sure going to make it or not. But there should be hopefully some other friends. come
Any
out
other
and jam.
gigs with Lao?
I just did a gig on Friday or
Beautiful
Saturday.
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad, yeah, down by San
Festival
Diego.
or
Yeah, it was their city festival or something like that. It was great show. And I just did a couple of gigs with him, and sure I have more on the books.
but that band travels everywhere. I mean,
Yeah. The thing is, Lao's got anywhere from a 3-piece to a 9-piece
Yeah.
band, depending on
I
the
know him
gig
a
or
long
whatever
time.
it is. You know what I mean? So and usually if it's a bigger concert, it'll have at least like Karen on it, and, or Eric or Steve that also plays sax and stuff. So
Yeah, Eric Marienthal.
I mean, I I'm not greasing any palms here, but just playing with Rick and Gene Coy as a rhythm section is a experience in itself. Those guys
That's
are
very-
so good.
very
So cool. good.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Now, JP is in Incendio, of course, incendiomusic.com and Carbe and Durand.com. Anything going up real quick?
We are intersecting with the world of Lao once again. Actually, our band's playing Rancho Cucamonga tomorrow, and then Albuquerque Biopark on Thursday with our pal Carrie Frank, who is also on Songs from the Swing House. Then Friday we're in Colorado Springs, and then like maniacs we come back to beautiful Palmdale, straight from Colorado, to open for the Lao Tizer group. We're going to be at the Palmdale Amphitheater, and Lau's group is going to be the larger configuration with Chieli Minucci from Special Effects on guitar, Eric Marienthal on sax, and Karen Briggs on violin, in addition to all the other great people, Munyango, Tita,
so great.
Rick Fioravich. Is going to be really cool. And then we're back in Denver at the Levitt Pavilion in Denver on Sunday, and then East Coast and another week after that. So we're busy, but it's going to be really, really cool to play with Lao and all our pals there. And I'm so sorry we're missing the Bleeding Harp CD release, because it's going to be fantastic. So we'll be there in spirit from Albuquerque.
Yeah, I was hoping you could come out and sit in and have some fun with us. But I will say this, I've played with Incendio. They've been gracious enough to allow me to come in and sub from time to time, and it's so much fun. If you haven't seen them or gotten any of their music, go check them out, because they're outstanding guitar playing. Outstanding, like ridiculous.
Thank you, my friend. It's a blessing to play with you.
And Lauri, what's going on? Anything you want to announce?
Sure. So here's the week. We've got our friend Steve Pfister's band back at the Baked Potato on Wednesday. We love Steve. He comes here to be a guest and also the
have
host.
his PV amp.
All right. Yeah.
Wednesday
Love to hear you guys play
with
together.
Santo Feliciano on percussion, and Philip Bino on bass. Great trio.
Yes,
Great
great
trio. Thursday, you guys are playing late, right, on Thursday?
Yeah.
Because we have a show at Bogey's with Robbie Dupree. And that's going to be cool. I helped to promote a show for him last year. So he'll be back on Thursday. And then Sunday, we've got our double bill at Bogey's with actor-singer Rob Morrow's band, which is a great blues band, together with my dear friend Gary Stockdale, and I get to sing in his band. So that's going to be a lot of fun Sunday.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lauri. Jeffrey, thank you.
Thanks
always
for having me.
Dude.
Thank you
JP,
so
it's
much.
always good
Thank
to
you,
see you.
Lauri. JP.
Doug hanging with us. Thank you, Doug.
Good to see you, Doug.
I'm going to let these guys take us out, and everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week.